then we decided to do a YouTube channel.
Why? Yeah, but we had to debate on what the topic was, so we decided whatever we want.
Whatever we want. Well, first we did a channel for dolls and stuff, and then we did all of that, and then some more, and then some more, and then some more, and then some more. And
we sure did. So we know how to film.
And we have the camera for it.
But even so, we got better because this channel started with you actually making a film room.
Yes, because we were filming in my living room.
In the living room, every single time.
Which meant that every time we had to do a filming day, I had to set up and then take it down afterwards. And that got old at some point. And especially
after a couple of years.
Especially because the doll stuff, which was shorter, we would film I think the record was
12, I think.
12 in one day.
And some of them were 5 minutes, 7 minutes.
And these reviews, we do about 4 in one session, if we're lucky.
Yeah, sometimes 2, sometimes 4. I don't think have we done 5?
We have not done 5, and we have done 1 once. 1 is a little the problem. The problem
with it when it's 1, there's a problem.
Yeah, the problem with doing 1 is that you do have to do an entire setup and a breakdown afterwards, and it is work. So I'd rather do that for at least 3 or more. Three is.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, ideal. Ideal, we want everything goes right every single time. Ha ha ha.
This is why we actually have a camera 1 and a camera 2.
And got 2 lights.
2 lights. Well, the 2 lights you need because otherwise you get an uneven look. Because if I switch one off,
this happens sometimes, and one fails. So. Yeah, it sucks.
So we have 2 for everything except for the sound, which actually we do have 2 for sound as well, because if the sounds, we have a mic. If the sound fails, sound is over here. If it fails, we have the sound of the actual camera.
2 cameras. However, I think it's only one time that we had to resort only to the sound, and you notice it. You can hear it. It's more canny.
It's more canny, and there's because the camera keeps refocusing. You hear a little, and now that you notice it, you're gonna hear it again. But that's that's the main camera that does that. So we have a separate sound thing, which is absolutely wonderful. I also have a see if I can splice that in a. Time lapse on the side to go with the sound, so I can actually find stuff in the sound, because sound is sound.
Editing work
for editing. So when I edit, I set up the time lapse with the sound, and then I set up all the other footage to that.
Mm-hmm. So nothing ends up out of sync.
Yeah,
and
nothing is missing.
Yeah. Because there's also sometimes inserts of us pointing at things. Rarely, but it has happened. We did the Kenergy Ken unboxing.
And you have to set that up because now we had camera 2 in my hand, and I'm a lousy camera 1. She's the good camera woman. I'm the bad one. So the lousy stuff, that's me.
Yeah, and what we still need to get is a monopod for a camera to do out of hand things, because of how we're set up now.
Yeah,
it's hard to do this because you're always gonna shake somehow, and if it's on a monopod, then at least all you have to do is this. So that's the next thing to get.
If we want to do that, it needs to be something that's specifically for whatever it is we want to do.
But we generally don't need a hand camera anymore. That was a big thing in the doll channel, but we don't do that,
But the moment you start to show stuff, then you need something, a second camera to follow that around. And that's a thing. We haven't set up for this channel. It's not that yet.
Yeah, we don't. We normally don't have to do that. We have, however, a project that required that, and that turned out to be a lot of editing, so it is not finished.
Still being done.
So so we will probably try to find a different solution for that for any subsequent times.
There's a lot of other stuff I want to show. I have a nice old book collection which I'd love to do for not this channel but for another channel.
Well, I still have the idea of doing. Because you have so much fashion background, and you actually have from, I don't know, the 1880s or the 1850s onwards, you have like fashion magazines.
From the 1810s.
So I would love to literally take some of these iconic period movies and put them next to it and then say, okay, this is what we see in that year is in fashion. What are they doing in this movie? You know, Pride and Prejudice, Gone with the Wind, you know, let's go epic with this. And then the problem with that, she says always, the problem is that, yes, you can do the dresses, but men's fashion is actually much less represented in the fashion magazines. So, and there's
not that much going on.
Practically every, 3/4 of all characters are male. This is a fact. So.
Yeah. The other thing, that practical thing about going through actual scenes and stuff like that is that you have to show it to you guys, which I'm gonna do in post. I'll show you pretty picture here.
We'll have pretty picture.
I'll have to figure out which pretty picture it is, but
it'll be stunning.
But when you're doing it here, it's the people here have to look at it as well. I hope to do a review on Cinderella, the 1950 Cinderella. They have a whole slideshow, and it's just a technical. There's just a technical issue of how to present it here in this room, not to you guys, but to the peanut gallery,
so that we know what we're talking about when we're talking about it.
Because when I start to talk about the hem of this particular dress, the peanut gallery also has to see that particular dress. So when it gets that particular, it's a little technically more advanced, and I hope to get some sort of monitor here, but we have to organize that. Yeah.
It's sort of like half stages to the whole monitor thing. So any tips, send them along. Who knows, it might work.
Yeah. And also the choice of what do you review. And we both genuinely love the kind of movies we're reviewing. We're not reviewing, even if we bitch at them once in a while, we did review them. We took the time to see it. And if it's really not what we want to see, we're gone instantly. We're not seeing it on the channel.
We're not reviewing it.
No.
So there's things like I had notes on. One of the earlier ones was the 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and basically I bitched my way through the entire thing. But I love watching it. There's just so much wrong with it. But
but that's a movie doesn't need to be good to be interesting.
There's and to be interesting is by itself is already a point of.
And even if
gripping you,
especially if the film is just really good, what do you say? There's nothing to say.
We've had this several times that you sit down and you're like, "This film is good. I can stop talking now." But at least articulate why it's good.
I've learned in this channel. I've learned to articulate why is the film good.
Yeah.
Because that is just as much information as why is the film is bad. But why is the film good? I love the film, but why?
Yeah.
There is a reason, and then you have to start thinking about it. So you have to think about the whole thing differently than I ever did. And that's why I'm rewatching a bunch of movies that I know I've seen in a long time ago. But I now know much more about history, about fashion, about general life, and I have learned to look at movies differently in storytelling, and so rewatching them gets you a new view of them.
That's one of the reasons why I really like rewatching something from long ago, also for me for long ago. Because like, okay, I was watching this when I was growing up. However, I now have, let's call it 35 years of experience of writing stories, telling stories, looking at stories and reading stories, obviously. But the storytelling part is it's very different when you're several decades along, and we're in our early 50s, but we're in our 50s. So the thing we have like double the lifetime that we had watching most of these movies.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, why it's very interesting to look at old stuff. Because we can look at the new stuff and it's coming out and it's all exciting and that's great. But we're looking at old stuff and going, why did this endure? Why did this not endure? And how has storytelling changed? How has diversity is a big one as well. What they show, why they show it. Could they have done better? Yes, they could have done better in most cases.
Or sometimes when they have done something that was within the constraint of the time and the interest of the time.
And you can see them trying.
And you can see them trying, and they're coming from a point of, yes, I know how it was, and I know what we want to see, but I know what we can and cannot put in this one. And so you get a knowledgeable result. Sometimes it's an ignorant result, and sometimes it's a very knowledgeable result.
And that's for the storytelling as well as for the decor, and very especially the clothing and the hairdos. And I mean, the amount of times that I just have an issue with hairdo of the women. If you look at films from the 1910s, you see all atrocious hair. And you go, what? And then you watch something like Downton Abbey, which starts in the 1910s. And you go, oh, that's so pretty and beautiful. Yeah. It's like, no, that was not what they were wearing. But this could have been what they were wearing and how they were wearing their hair. And so we'll just take the clean one. But and you might have like a movie actress from like, I keep forgetting her name, from the 1910s. And it is actually frizzy. Yeah. That all those chopped the hairstyles, and it's pulled back, but it's frizzy and it's very strange. Yeah. And you never see that redone. And if you have a really good designer who realizes that the core of the 1910 hairstyle is for the grown-up woman is the updo with the Gibson Girl look, and if they then do that and not have the girls have the hair down, because that's an absolute anathema. Like
Get
it? No, not at 52, not at 25.
No.
This stops at like 17.
At 17, 18 you become
and then
up.
Also you would have to have it braided.
You would never have it loose. You'd have it braided. But
it's never loose.
Once you're considered to be a grown woman, you have the hair up. But then if you'd go for like a Gibson style something, I'm already pretty happy. As long as the designer realized, it needs to be up because it cannot be down. Mm-hmm. And it's some of the basic stuff, and I have no idea. And then I hate that when in this modern things, the actress comes and says, I'm not going to wear my hair up. I'm not going to wear...
It's not just in the modern things. We know this from older movies
the Pride and Prejudice one, where you have this in the Pride and Prejudice is marvelous, because you have this entire set of
This is the 1940s one.
The 1940 one,
40.
440. You have the entire cast of young gals who are mostly British, but there's one American gal, and all the British gals are wearing the fashion. They have actually chosen to go for 1830s, 1840s. So that's
pick a spot and go with it.
Yeah, okay. That's.
I mean, it's not Civil War, but okay.
Okay, but that one American gal absolutely will not wear the hat in the right way, and she will not wear the flowery designs. She wants to wear the modern stripes, and these are absolutely 1940 stripes, not 1840 stripes.
She's like, that's in the magazine this year.
But also the way
I'm wearing that.
She wears the hat. She wears it in a modern style, and it shows so much.
Yeah.
But the other ones are correct.
God.
So that makes it. It actually it kind of makes it worse. Obviously, she's trying to be the one out, and
yeah, and you got various Little Women renditions, right? So in the various renditions of Little Women, is like they make a thing out of the fact that she doesn't have a glove or not? And it isn't until the very, very recent one that they actually, and the TV series, that the glove actually makes it into the story.
And it's very important in life in the 1860s.
Yeah, you cannot be seen at the party. You cannot go to the party without
if you don't
your
have gloves.
I mean, people knew about cleanliness and hygiene, and they did not want to come home with the con crud, It's
not even that, it's just not proper. You were not dressed if you did not have your gloves.
Oh, yeah.
You're like going naked.
In literally, she could not go into the room, so she's sitting in the book, she's on the staircase, and she's looking through the doorway into the room.
Yeah.
And that's, that kind of stuff. And I like it when filmmakers actually understand.
Yeah.
This is an important plot point. It's not, they're talking about the gloves, let's skip that. No.
No, there was a reason for
that. That is important stuff.
If the filmmaker decides then to skip it anyway, if they know why, I mean, they wouldn't skip it because it's too important. But if they do it in a knowledgeable way, then we can argue about it. But then they usually realize that they have to put something else in its place, and they use some sort of shorthand. It was in the same movie, the same Pride and Prejudice movie, who did understand, there is in the book a reference to one of the city ladies, upper class ladies, comes to the countryside and comments on how the country girls all are wearing flowery
dresses. This happens in Sense and Sensibility as well.
Yeah. And the movie, because they were in a hurry, didn't actually have time to do that, but what they did was make sure that when they have the big party at Marathon, that the lady from the city is dressed in a dark velvet gown with a lot of diamonds on it, and everybody else is wearing something completely different, and to show off that this lady from the city thinks that she knows how it's supposed to be.
She's the fashionable in-season person.
Exactly. Yeah. And the country people are completely outmoded. And they don't say the scene, but they show you that part. Yeah. And that is understanding that it is still part of the story and you have to put it in, but we don't have time, so this is how we did it. And then you can skip your gloves.
The same, in 1 year before, you got in Gone with the Wind, you got Scarlett, who literally puts on a scarlet dress, or Red tells her to put that on. And that is completely inappropriate. And that's the point of that scene, that she is wearing something completely inappropriate.
There is another thing to that particular scene, because I remember that scene. The dress she's actually wearing, the dress she's actually wearing is actually a 1930s dress. It is not an 1860s dress.
It did look odd.
It looks odd because it is odd, because that's the point. And filmmakers knew that. That's why they put in a effing modern dress in this movie,
which would be totally inappropriate to the 1860s sensibility of propriety.
Yeah, and what it shows is that she is going completely against the grain of society, and to the point that they are ramming it down the throat of the viewer, because you have to understand that.
This is like shorthand to the viewer. It's like you now see how inappropriate this is.
Yes.
And then Melanie takes her and introduces her genteelly to everybody in the room, because she's saying, it's all subtext, but she's saying, this is my friend, I will stand by her as she is,
and she saved
my life, she saved my child's life, and to an extent her husband's life, so she kept us all alive, so this is it, deal with it.
Yeah. So you see what we like to watch.
Yeah, I mean, we do love to watch it, and we don't mind rewatching it. It's actually a good excuse to go, I I remember that movie. What was that about? Yeah. And then just go, oh, I guess that's about that. I didn't catch that the first time.
Or
because I was too young. I was like 6.
Yeah, or this film was always known as to be a good movie, but I never saw the point of it. Let's go rewatch it and see what the point of it was.
Yeah, and then maybe come to the conclusion that it's still not for me, but I understand what people saw in it.
Yeah, or I don't understand, or I simply do not understand that it has to do with the time it was from.
Yeah, that happens as well. And I think things, I mean, since we're in our early 50s, so we've been watching movies, let's call it since we were 5 years old or so, and there were things 40 years ago that literally... that was still okay then, and now it's just...
Yeah, no.
It's so old, it's so boring, or slow.
Or it makes a point that is not acceptable anymore.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, I mean, I've been struggling with, like, Breakfast at Tiffany's, because I'm a big... Audrey Hepburn fan, and of course George Peppard is very cool, and it was an interesting movie. I don't know if it was a good movie because I haven't rewatched it in these last 2-3 decades.
On the list,
but it's on the list. But the problem is you have Mickey Rooney. Am I saying the right name?
Yeah,
Mickey Rooney in Yellowface in that movie. And that's just so... I mean, I felt when I was watching it in my 20s, so let's call it 25 years ago, I felt that was unpleasant.
Yeah.
And
you have to see that... I think you have to see that...
I don't want to see it again.
I think you have to see that in a historical context of especially Mickey Rooney, because he is an interesting... concept, because he started off as a child star and then he did age out, but he was still a good actor. And the problem that Hollywood has, we have a good actor, but he's an ugly fella, and what do we do with him?
He was too short.
He was short, he was not pretty, and so, but he was really talented. So what are you going to do with him? So you let him play all the character parts. What character parts are there? Mr. Yunioshi in Breakfast at Tiffany's,
so
and you have to,
okay.
But you have to understand it, because it was still the studio system. They didn't go outside. If you didn't have an Oriental person on the lot, which you actually have to have employee, you have to keep them sort of employed the entire time.
No, they are under contract. They are employed. Yeah.
So if you don't have that person on the lot, then you go for the character actor who is available, Mickey Rooney, because he has nothing. He is available. So you stick him in black and in yellow face and have him do that. But yes, I do. That is absolutely unacceptable. There are actually moments of yellow face that I want to do for the channel, where they have yellow face, because historically because that is what you had at. If you do not have the Oriental actor, but you have the Oriental part, which is an honest part, and you don't have a major...
So like Anna and the King.
Like Anna and the King, and like Sayonara. And
no, Sayonara, she is actually...
Yeah, but he isn't.
No, he is...
the other he.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
There is him and her, and there is his... I believe it's his sister, and she goes with a kabuki player who is Japanese.
Oh, yes, Ricardo Montalban was in that.
Played
as a kabuki.
Played the Japanese guy.
Oh,
because
okay.
they have,
and they're like, oh well, he's Latino, so that's close enough.
But that's the same thing as Mickey Rooney.
Yikes.
Because they had the same problem with Ricardo Montalban, because he's very handsome, but he's not white enough. So he already...
And we want to employ him.
We want to employ him because he's a really good actor. Because you get the talent, but you don't get Clark Gable with every person, you know. They really want Clark Gable for every person, and
well, and that's one thing that drives me up the wall with old Hollywood is that it is literally white men telling stories about white men to white men. And
but that's
I'm looking for.
But that's is a representation of most of America. So that's for up to a point, fair enough. They did get into trouble over it in themselves because they started to get so much talent that wasn't white, like Ricardo Montalban, like a bunch of some black actors and actresses and singers. And what do you do with them? And they have so much problems placing them within the rules of we must be segregated, because that is not Hollywood's rule, that was the society rule, and they have to segregate the storytelling basically, which was after about 1940. I mean, before that they sort of mixed it in, but it for some reason it didn't work, and I'm not American.
We don't know why it went that direction.
All we can do is see it happen. After 1940,
it goes down because
they segregate into different groups, and they.
But there were already very few, no leading parts really, and so it would always be side characters.
Yeah, it was always side characters.
And there was in. I always forget the movie that the first one. Father O'Malley with Bing Crosby, and he has a little boys choir, like little boys, as in maybe.
But that's 1930.
Maybe 8-year-olds.
1938.
The first one I think is 1940 or so. It's around that time, and then the second one is very quick in succession because it had a lot of success, and then they put Ingrid Bergman in. Bells of St. Mary. So that's the one that everybody knows.
She was the hot property at that time.
Yeah. So that's the sequel. She was hot property, and it is actually her story. And the boys' school. And he's like what?
let me interrupt you about Ingrid Bergman. They fell on Ingrid Bergman because she was talented, gorgeous and white, and so they fell on her like gangbusters. And the fact that she hardly spoke any English. She learned her English on one of the first jobs.
Very good job.
And got rid of her accent and got rid of her bad teeth.
Her accent is still there, but it's charming.
Yeah, it's charming. I mean, she can use her English, but they fell on her because she had talent, and they want talent so much. But go back to the
And I would also say that she is a different type of beauty than they were normally getting.
Yeah,
so
but
she's very herself.
She falls in the bracket of beauty in a way that Mickey Rooney doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot argue with Ingrid Bergman being beautiful. You just put the camera on her and happiness. So they literally put her in this nun's habit. And it had fantastic success. In the first movie, the Bells of St. Mary's, then it's about that school, and she's trying to get these boys. It's an all boys school, of course, because it's Catholic, and she's trying to get these boys up to a certain level. But and they're all white boys. And in the first movie, Father O'Malley that's a few years earlier. Not many, like 2. He's putting together a boys' choir, and the boys' choir does have boys of color in there.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Last time you see it in film.
Yeah, so I wasn't, because I saw them, of course, in the wrong order originally. I was not expecting that, and not only are they in there, but they get close-ups, and that sounds trivial, but considering the amount of segregation that was going on, and also considering that Bing Crosby actually had ties with black performers and jazz musicians, and he was a radio man.
Yeah,
so he would have at least known about it or been hot on it. I mean, I don't know his politics, but I would imagine that this is not by accident to have close-ups of a couple of the black boy singers.
And that goes away in Hollywood, and it doesn't come back until the 70s.
And then you have Sidney Poitier.
Sidney Poitier, but Sidney
he burst on the scene.
Sidney
and
Poitier
you also cannot deny his existence.
But the thing again, and it's the same. The Sidney Poitier and Ingrid Bergman have the same origins in a way, because they're both foreign from America coming in, and they have as such had Sidney Poitier, even though he was black, had a clean slate in his heritage, and that's why he got in a lot of things that he otherwise would not have gotten in. And so you get a whole period in Hollywood where there's literally one black actor the entire period until 1970. You get nothing. So that's
not good.
That's not good. And they actually have issues getting him to be with a female actor, because in the movies where he plays a story of race, then you have usually a white girl. But when you don't,
you also had
where's
For the Love of
female?
Ivy, the girl is black, but that's also the point of the movie.
Yeah, and so they need to, they spend the entire time until 1970, occasionally making movies about black, Well,
I still want to do. Yeah, I know. I still want to do 12 Angry Men because it was supposed to be, what a diverse cast. All these different men, 12 different men with 12 different opinions. And I'm going,
and they're all the same.
Actually, they're all white. One of them is Italian or so. I haven't rewatched it since a long time, so I'm probably wrong. But there's,
the diversity.
Not that much.
The diversity comes from one is an office person, and one person works on a yard, and one
lower class, middle class, upper class. So okay, what do you want?
Exactly. That's diversity for you.
So we're again, that's diversity in the 1950s. So I mean, I did the Grapes of Wrath because somebody on my Facebook said, this is like required reading. I'm going, I've never heard of the thing. So okay, and I was not gonna delve into the book and unless I knew that I wanted to read it. But so there was a movie with Henry Fonda. Henry Fonda. Names. That's why we have lists when we do this. But and that was super interesting. I still think the movie's way too slow, but there's some really interesting gems in there that I would never have known about, because that hooks into the whole. I was just talking about middle class, lower class, middle class, upper class. This is the lower classes. And this is the dredge of society that has to scrape by every day to get a meal on their plate. And
the interesting thing about the American film industry, and compared to Dutch or other smaller non-existent film industries, is that they have so much storytelling that they want to do, that all the stories get a chance to be told, even things that you think, how could they have ever been made? There's a wonderful film in 1946 or something like that about it's with Mel Ferrer. It's about a family, a man, woman, and children pretty soon, who actually are black, but they're passing as white because their skin is white enough, and how that goes. And it was a black and white movie, 1940s, maybe early 50s. A film where you go, how would they have made this?
Why would they have made that?
And it's so wonderful that it exists.
Yes.
I mean, that is the interesting thing about it. I mean, the film industry is such a glutton for stories. Give us stories that they will film anything.
The studio system.
The studio system, but the American film industry. It's an entire industry, and that eats, that gobbles up stories, and that's why you're looking for. Even now, they're trying to find more stories, and they've got The Witcher, and from, I think it's Polish, polish or check or something like that.
Polish,
and there's lots of other stories out there that Hollywood isn't even found yet, but they've all been scraping the wallpaper for years trying to get stories. And then you get really good ones, but you also get garbage. Sometimes you get garbage.
Made too fast, made on a shoestring, made with not a proper.
Yeah, too much budget, as in we have budgets to do it, but not enough to actually pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, we, about Anne of Green Gables has also been done many, many times, and there's a few times where you go, why did they do it this way? Why? And then you find out it's a political reason, or the book just came out, or somebody died, and then they go, oh wait, they wrote some really cool stuff, or they're going, we have an actress that we want to do this with. And in the case of, which I haven't reviewed for the channel and probably won't for a while, Breakfast at Tiffany's, is that Audrey was Audrey, but she was not the right person for the role, but she was there. So there's a point, and in Dutch film industry has always done this, because we have nowhere near these amounts of people to choose from, and it's already hard.
It's a talent
pool. I mean, for the Annie movie, they literally scoured in America. They scoured in 1981, I think. They scoured the entire country, and they got Eileen, I forget her last name, and she's Annie, and she did it, and. Could it have been somebody else? Yes, but this was the best. And it is very, for child actors, and we have opinions on child acting, but in the Netherlands, I mean, we're basically against it, but, they're going to do it anyway. So
here it's impossible. An Annie,
because with the Annie,
because of the child rules, but it's because impossible, but then it becomes possible because it's impossible. Let me explain. The rules in the Netherlands for child labor are so tight that a child, if you put them on stage, they can do 12 performances per year. That's it. You have 12 evenings with a year with this kid, and that's it. Then you go to the next year. That means that you cannot put it on an Annie. However, if you flip your mind and go, but we can put on 15 Annies, 15 different actresses can be Annie in succession of 12 performances each. And then 15 kids have a lovely summer rehearsing. They have 12 performances in the year, and then they go home and they have a life. And that works. And once you flip your switch and say, we can do 15 Annies. And they did that with the Olivers. They started with Oliver, and they just trained Olivers by the bundle. They had just groups of Olivers training them up and singing, and these kids had a ball.
Yeah, that's the same with Billy Elliot. They're still doing that. As far as I know, it's still running.
Yeah, that Billy Elliot, you need actually somebody who has ballet training.
Yeah, but they train all these boys in ballet. Yeah.
But then still the rules are for child of certain age, only so many performances. And that includes, if you put that person on TV, that's one performance down. Check. So the advantage is, of course, is that we don't get any exploited children. The disadvantage is that something like a Harry Potter sequence of films, it's absolutely impossible.
That will never be done in the Netherlands. It has to be adults.
Or pick a new set every film.
Yeah, we have Danny de Munk. And before that, like 50 years before that, there was another young actor who could both sing, which is very important for Dutch movies, and act. And since then, in between then, nothing. I mean, it's not like we don't have kids that can act, but to be the whole package and to actually have that kind of talent, it takes 2 generations. So Danny de Munk is still going, and he was slightly younger than me, I think. Maybe a couple of years, but he was about my age. So in the very, very early 80s, they started making all the movies of all the books that everybody always wanted to do.
With
but
the boy
you had
in
to
the
dose
lead.
him.
Yeah.
So it's like we can do him in Ciske de Rat, which was like, and it was both singing and acting, and it was a drama. It was a singing drama. It was not a musical.
Yeah, and any rehearsing was on the weekends because he has to go to school.
He has to go to school.
Regular school, nothing taking out of school.
No,
there was absolutely none of that. So
it'll be after school some.
If you
watch
a Danny and Munk movie, remember he did it all on the weekends and he did it in his holidays, and that's.
And then later they did, so years go by very fast, and you can see that in the Harry Potter movies how fast these kids grow up when you want to do a large project. So they did Ciske de Rat, where he had to be about 10, 12 at the most. And then they did Op Hoop van Zege, where he had to be about 15. And then did like a couple of other ones. But you
one
had
more,
to,
and then we're out.
Yeah, I mean, literally.
You get
there's
3 movies.
only so much time you can squeeze in. So you can't do an 8-movie set of things or line them up for this boy and say, okay, let's just do all of them. We would love to do that, but you can't.
What you should do, if they would do a Harry Potter in the Netherlands, is flip your mind again and decide to do sequence people who look like each other, and even film consecutively, because now you can actually film faster if you actually have a different cast every time.
One movie with each
kid. Each year you have a new Harry and a new Hermione and a new Ron.
And all the adult actors can go the distance. That's fine.
Yeah. So we love to talk about movies.
We love to talk about movies. So then this one here says, yeah, you can bundle those. I'm going, oh yeah, it's one set. I'm going, yeah. So I watched a whole bunch of Hanukkah films, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know.
The thing about reviews is I want to say something compact of some sort, and sometimes you get movies that there's that much to say, and another one that's that much to say. And I actually thinking about a review of 3 movies that are completely unrelated. They have some relation, but not really. Mm-hmm. But I can say this about this movie and the same thing about that movie. But then I can say this about that other movie and that, but that's the same as that movie. And I'm going, but singularly would be a very boring review. I'm going to try and bundle it because I wanted to make an interesting review as well, you know. Yeah. I want you to like and subscribe, please.
Yes.
Please.
Like and subscribe.
We never say it in our thingy because I think it's very boring, but please like and subscribe.
Like us. Subscribe. If you like this, subscribe. And you go like that, the little thummy goes up.
Yes.
So we did change the little thummy going up several times during a long thing.
I made the little.
She made it. Yeah. So yes, very well done. So we don't want to bore anybody, but at the same thing, it's like, you know, when you're really into something, you really want to like dig in and get the details. So sometimes, like, okay, I do things like the robe, and then I can bundle a bunch of the cohesive things that are together. But with the robe, we were talking like, okay, yes, it's a cinematic universe of at least 2, but in technically it should be 3, which I am now I'm retracting that concept now. But to put together the Robe and Demetrius in the Gladiators couldn't work because it's just literally such a different movie.
But if you have enough to say about a singular movie, then it's worth doing a singular review for it. But if you don't, you get the option to bundle.
Yeah.
And you can even bundle sideways if you say, okay, this one's about roses and that one's about flowers. I'm gonna and singular have nothing to say. I'm gonna bundle them on the fact that they happen to be about flowers.
Yeah. And my biggest problem with bundling stuff is to keep enough stuff in my head current.
Yeah.
even with notes, but it's like, yes, I have notes, but I can't really spend my time reading the notes when I'm sitting here. So I have to have 3/4 of it in my head.
Yeah, and I'm even worse because the notes, literally the notes I have is a reminder of what the director's name was because I forget. But
names, so hard.
Other than that, if I have a really good review, I have like two words I've written down because I have it in my head. If it's a bad review, I usually have lots of pages. If there's a problem, then I have lots of pages because then I need reminders.
I tend to have too many pages, but and then I don't look at them.
She makes me print them out, and then she
it's like, okay, can you print out these 6 pages? No, I won't look at them.
At 12 a.m. she emails me saying, "Can you print this out
for tomorrow?"
And I have to format it and print it out and try to squeeze the 6 pages onto 4 or less.
When I'm watching movies, I love my notepad. I'm just plain text. That's all I want. And I type too fast. So, and then I did like the absolute radical thing recently, which isn't the time we're recording this. That one isn't out yet. But my radical one was the Max Havelaar, which I think is one of the first Dutch things that we've done at all.
And I don't think it's going to be out. By the time you see this, it won't be out yet.
Yeah. And that one I hadn't quite prepared, because that's actually a lot.
That's a lot.
There's a lot there. So I had read the book and I had watched the movie twice, and I had started on the audio commentaries, which would have been really cool if I'd finished those, but it wasn't like essential. And then I was like, can I do this justice without going through all of it again and making notes? And I was like, because I wasn't really intending to do it for the channel to start with. I was just like,
your mistake.
I think I'm old enough now to read the Max Havelaar, and I'm going, oh, wasn't there a movie out? And
it's the Max. For the people who don't know, Max Havelaar is a core Dutch piece of literature, so that's why.
Yes, there's literally, if you look up what is Dutch literature, that will rise to the top. It's Max Havelaar. And so it's like, no, I'm just reading this, I'm just watching this, and then suddenly I'm sitting here going, I'll try to do a review, and I was actually absolutely...
It was a good review. I think it's a good review. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how much came out and that it was cohesive. But it helps to have opinions, and this is our opinion channel. We have opinions, and I know that there's talk about opinions, smelly and stuff, but I think my opinion is that opinions are actually quite interesting to listen to and to talk about, because... Yeah,
I hope that we give our opinion, but a knowledgeable opinion.
We try to do that whenever possible.
Opinion from being a Dutch person, or opinion about, or some information about history. Because that's one of the things that I found with some movies, is that it was... I saw the film like when I was young, and it was unwatchable. And then I rewatch it, and I realized, oh, that is why it was unwatchable, because they missing information. And then I want in a review give you that information.
And that's what I want out of, if I go to a movie and I'm like, okay, I think there's stuff I've missed, and then I go to Wikipedia or something like that. I want them to give me that context. And if I finally understood the context, then it's like, okay, I wish I'd known that, or maybe I was supposed to know that because I'm the wrong audience, because I am not.
That happens.
I'm not a baby boomer from America or whatever,
We're watching a lot of stuff for which we are absolutely not the right audience. We are not the target audience for most of this stuff.
And I would even say that Europeans and women are generally not the target audience for 3/4 of all the movies made.
No, I think women are the target audience for a lot of movies. Oh yes, especially older stuff is meant for women a lot.
And another thing that I noticed about about older movies is that they are, even if they're talking about gruesome things, and they have to address it because of the Hays Code and all sorts of other stuff, it is actually more watchable than new stuff. Because I told you that after Demetrius and the Gladiators, I went and it's like, oh, let's dig up Gladiator, right? From 2000, because that was really the progression of it. And I'll do one about Gladiator. And I had to stop the thing in about less than 10 minutes.
I'll do the one about the Gladiator. I want to do it.
And I watched it back when it came out. I did watch it, but now to me it's just too gruesome. I'm no longer into the beheadings and all that. No, I can't do it. So. And
the thing about it, and that's one of the things that I found with Gone with the Wind versus Roots.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Or Roots, or what's some other thing about something you recently watched about Roots and Gone with the Wind.
The Underground Railroad. That's a dramatized document. Well, it's a dramatized series. Yeah.
Yes,
it's very very hard.
The thing about, especially maybe for a Dutch person watching these things, is that. People want you to watch Roots or that Underground Railroad thing because it shows the realness of it. But the thing is, Gone with the Wind also shows the inhumanity of slavery, if you look. And I got it from Gone with the Wind.
I got it when I was a kid, and I get it now.
And you don't...
I was very surprised that it was pulled and then put back with like a... on streaming media. It was pulled and they put it back with an explanation.
And it doesn't need it, because it shows the inhumanity of slavery, the way these black people are in Gone with the Wind, the way they talk, the way they move.
Yeah, they've never been giving education, they have never been given freedom, they've never been given a sense of self.
And it doesn't. You don't need to show somebody being whipped to show this, and that's what in Roots.
Well, they did it in North and South as well.
And that was more than I could take.
That was, and
then the thing about this, but when you do it in a way that is more than people can take, then people don't watch it. So people don't watch Roots, and people don't watch North and South so much. Because it's completely unpalatable.
No, they watch North and South. North and South was an answer to Roots because it had such success.
My point is, you do not need to use a whip to get your point across. And you don't.
I think,
and that's what the thing about Gladiator versus what Gladiator does is use a mallet to get your point across.
That is the modern way of storytelling. It's not the gruesomeness. We want to see it all. And I think, my opinion, from what you just said, is that yes, you do have to show, and that is just that I'm not the audience. But there's a whole lot of people that need to see it.
You don't have to exclusively show it in that way, because there are other ways to show it.
And that's my problem then with modern stuff, is I almost have to go to a Hallmark channel to get away from torture and
gruesomeness
and dismemberment. And I love science fiction fantasy, but I knew by the first 2 episodes of Game of Thrones this is not for me, and I don't have any problem with let's call it questionable choices. But I have problems with throwing boys out of the top of a tower, and then
he goes splat. Yeah,
he goes a splat, and in medieval times he actually survives a coma and then comes out of it. And, I mean, literally, by that time I said, dudes, I'm out of here. Unfortunately, my husband said, I want to see the rest. So I did.
Husbands.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, so I did end up seeing the rest of it, and I kept shaking my head, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is not for me. Because this is modern storytelling, and this is one of the reasons why it's actually really comfortable and pleasant to go back to older movies.
Because
they can still address it, like the movie you were just talking about the Passing for White Black Family. Now that's a subject that Dutch people don't know anything about. Maybe black Dutch people know about, but
I think it's a very important movie, that one.
It's an extremely important movie, and there's another movie called Invitation to Life, which is also a Douglas Sirk movie. Not also, because that one wasn't, but it was a Douglas Sirk movie, and he made relevant storytelling. It was also always about humanity, and it was always about stuff that's difficult to talk about, and they managed to do it mostly without dismemberment and atrocities. And sometimes maybe that's too clean. That could be an argument. We could talk about that. But there's also just plain the inhumanity of how people treat each other if they decide that somebody is a subhuman. That in itself is just inhumane enough to address. One of the films that I was still thinking of doing, always thinking of doing for the channel, is Gentleman's Agreement. Mm-hmm. Because it actually explains it, and it's like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. It is explaining it to the goy white person.
Yeah, what the issue actually is.
Yes, it goes through all the stages, and that's the purpose of that movie. Now that works for me better than Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner
equally good.
The reviews I saw, because I was like, I need to see some reviews on that, done by people of color, and what I heard them say was like, yeah, great, but this movie's not for us. This is for white people.
Yeah, this is for white people. And
it's explaining to white people, black people are people too. And if in our society that we have made, and then it's like 1960 or something like that, in that society, you have a problem. If you have a problem, you're going to have problems in life if you're going to have a mixed marriage, and it's just the point where you just have to say, if nobody's gonna do it, then this problem remains. So
yeah, but also just showing, having a show and tell.
Yeah,
that is
literally taking you by the hand and go, here it
but
is.
It shows not only Sidney Poitier with the girl, but it shows the reaction of the white parents, but also of his black parents also show up.
I forgot that part. I'll have to rewatch
and
it.
They go through all iterations. Everybody gets a chance to react, and it's important as a show and tell to show other people how people might react.
Yeah. And the
good and bad.
Yeah, and the passing for white. I also saw a TV production which was very, very good on it, about a woman, but I don't know the name of it. And it's also in black and white. So the passing for white as a black person is something that white people may not know anything about, and black people know everything about. And so to put that in a movie like Invitation to Live and like your... I think Invitation to Live, I'm not sure. I always get it wrong. The movie you were talking about with Mel Ferrer.
Which is interesting because it's all full of white people, because
yes,
they're not
and I
actually
think that
passing.
is actually... those are things that make things more accessible, because you need to have a viewing point. Yeah. I did a review on the movie called Black or White, and to me it was like... But I see a family drama, but I don't really see the race drama here. Yeah. This is not, that's not like Roots or anything like that. So, but that could be because it is, it's not aimed at me. I will
that
not,
one was not. It's not aimed.
It's
at
not
you.
aimed at me, and so all I see is not all I see. I
just
hear it. I understand that it's an issue for them, and that it keeps coming up for them. But for me, it's like, what are you going to do with this little girl, and how is she going to survive all this family turmoil?
So, like and subscribe. This is the entire point of this video. That is why I wanted to make this video, is to wish you a happy New Year, which is in a couple of days. Should be in a couple of days, and to ask you. Please like and subscribe. If we ask it now a couple of more times, then we don't have to do it in the regular videos. I hate doing it. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Also, comment, please. It's good for the algorithm. I mean, every YouTuber says so.
And we want to know.
Yes.
Some people contact me off YouTube, and that's lovely. I love that. But we really want to know if you don't agree, if you do agree, what's your opinion? This is an opinion channel, and it's about film, and it could be books. We've always said it's not just film.
Any story, basically for me, is any storytelling that interests me.
Yeah.
And it could be abstract, and it could be not non-English, and it could be not on film. It could be.
We will be having more non-English stuff. We will pretty much always try to do stuff that isn't available with English subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
There is a project that we have going that the films are available in English, but the book is it? Is there an English translation? Yeah, there's no, it was original American. Okay, yes, here we go. It's complicated.
But I am definitely going to do at least a Dutch thing that is A, in Dutch, and B, completely unavailable.
Yeah.
And I want to do a radio play, Dutch radio play, which is going to be in Dutch and no subtitles.
Yes, so. We're going to, and we don't know how to do that yet.
But we're still thinking about it. Might take a while.
Figure it out. We are going to, there's a TV series that we desperately want to get into. It's not out with subtitles, and it bothers me. It's a historic piece on, shall I say it? Yeah. This is a historic piece on Willem of Orange, the original one from the mid 1500s, and it is an exceptionally good dramatization. And
from 1984.
Yeah, we grew up watching it, and
it's everybody in it.
Yeah, anybody is in it, and the clothing, they spent 10 years. Making the clothing because it's the Netherlands. It's not Hollywood production. So they needed more than one country because they asked the Belgians to help.
The piece of the period of history actually covers Belgium.
Yes, the
the
Netherlands
time.
and Belgium was one
region.
Region. So we had like the 7 Dutch provinces.
Yep.
And or the 7 lowland provinces, because Netherlands means lowlands, and like 2-3 centuries later, the Belgians seceded.
The thing is, we haven't decided yet what we can do for this. What we ideally would like to do, and that would be absolutely the best, is take the footage, sit down and go through everything. But we don't have the technical setup for it yet. But
the other thing we could do is we take an episode, we both watch it, and then we discuss the episode.
But then there is going to. I can tell you now, because it runs through history, and it's 10 episodes, and it runs through a period of like 40 years. A lot of political stuff happens. And we're going to be discussing, there's this battle here, and there is this nobleman there, and there's going to be per episode, there's going to be too many to do that in a watch first and then review after situation. So we're going to have to go through it. And there is no subtitles. If there even was just a Dutch subtitle track to the DVDs, but there's not even that.
There's nothing.
So there's not even anything to run through a Google Translate and then clean up.
No, this is the problem with.
And it's 10 episodes of varying length, about an hour each.
About an hour. This is the problem with a lot of Dutch productions, is they don't put any subtitles on the DVDs. Is like, why not? Dutch producers, please put the subtitles on. Please put English subtitles on, so we can tell everybody to go watch your thing. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And now it's easier because we have the subtitle stream from the hearing impaired, and so they already have a piece of subtitle. If it was on television, it has some sort of hearing impaired subtitle.
Yeah, but
thing.
This one is still not being brought out
because it was never done with hearing impaired subtitling. Yeah, so they don't have it.
It's been aired since then.
Yeah, and they never reissue. They never reissue stuff,
and they don't put stuff on Blu-ray. Can I just please ask everybody to bring out Blu-rays? That would be nice.
No, but there's no actual added value to a Blu-ray because this is recorded on video, and it was never on film, so it can never be upscaled that way. If you're gonna upscale it, you have to do it digitally from the video original, which is an MPEX tape. It's a kind of better videotape than just regular videotape, but it's still just that.
Yeah, it's a crying shame. So this is what we have to contend with, you know.
But so these makes it more difficult to choose these kind of things. So we have. Like big project, that this would be a big project, and we have smaller projects like once off, or I seem to be collecting, like I start with one film and then I end up with now I had to watch that one and I have to watch that one because it's related.
Yeah, the Frankenstein one.
The Frankenstein ones I knew, but even that one got away from me because it turns out that the Draculas are also related to it. So I really ought to I'm going to watch that for next year, the Draculas. Yeah. It's fun.
And there's surprises as well, because I was gonna do the Anne with an E TV series, and how do you review a TV series? You can't get into the storylines; it's just too much. So I was like, okay, so what can I say? And then I had it prepared, and I had all sorts of stuff about, you know, how they did things in that thing, and like literally because my whole life I've been a fan of Anne of Green Gables, so it's like I've read all the books, and I read so much Lucy Maud Montgomery's other stuff, and I saw all the movies, and it's like, oh no, here we go. So it's like, but in the books is this, and this is this, and da-da-da-da. And in the 1980s version is that, and like, whoops, okay. So you don't always know how it's gonna end up. But that's one of the ones that actually got good viewing numbers.
But it's perfectly okay if you like sit here and you go, oh, I'm talking a lot about the 1983 1986 version. How about we grab it in, and I'll just even make the peanut gallery get a list of names if you need one. Yeah. It's perfectly all right. I mean I feel it is fine to say, you want to change your review in the mid-tech? No problem, we'll do it. You want to restart? We restarted a couple of times.
We did that, yeah.
That we go, so yeah, this is not going the way I want to go, so out and back.
I'm boring myself, so no.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing you can do is bore yourself.
Yeah, and very often we're also surprising each other, because we're like literally, I don't know. Oh, you watch that? I have no idea what that is. Why are you even interested? And then it's like, okay. Yeah. I now know a lot more about that.
And we don't have the exact same taste. We have in broad terms we have a similar taste, but in actual points we absolutely do not have the same taste.
Yeah, we seem to pick up different things for different reasons.
You're gravitating towards the Hallmark thing, and I go for 1930s Frankenstein movies. I mean, you know,
the first two reviews I did, we haven't actually aired, because that was literally at the very beginning.
Yeah, the first set we never aired
was A Streetcar Named Desire, which I either have to redo or...
Yeah, you should redo that one.
Yeah, I should redo that one. I'll rewatch it then. Because, wow. And that was the first... I think that was the first thing that I came up with. And I finished, and we had... The setup was not right and whatever. So it doesn't matter. We'll do it again. But then she turns to me and she's like, why the hell did you choose that? I thought you were going to come up with something nice. Well, was what I wanted to. That's immediately thing that I was.
Well, it was something you had something to say about, because some of the other things
I wanted to watch something that I had no reason to watch otherwise, and I was like, oh, that thing that was still, that came up, and it's Marlon Brando,
and everybody's raving about it.
Yeah, it's like that's why I was like, this channel for me is also a good excuse to just look into stuff that everybody has always been talking about. Yes. Why are they talking about that? Okay, well, I guess I should take a look.
Yeah, and that's why I watched the Frankenstein movies, is because you heard a lot about it and a lot of stuff, little snippets from it, but I never actually sat down to see them. And now I want to sit down and see them. And when are you going to watch a 1931 movie?
And that's another thing that because you do a lot of stuff in the early 30s and late 20s and all the way up to the 40s, and then I have much more of a concept now how they actually went from the silent movie to the talkies, and that it wasn't in one go, now we talk. And like in Singing in the Rain, right? Of course we talk.
Of course we talk.
Don't everybody. And that's actually, we will do Singing in the Rain at one point, of course, but it says so much, because they had big problems making that leap, and also not only from the speaking, from the textual, because at some point they just started doing those long lines that are in the sheets in between. They just started saying them. It's okay, great. But you also have to act. And
you have to do more than
act together.
You have to actually talk instead of converse.
Yeah, it's literally a different thing, not just the lines. So, and then they had this period where they put on a lot of plays and put that, and then they started talking really fast.
Yeah.
So there's just all this stuff that's happening. I got a lot, more of an insight into now.
Yeah,
like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe and subscribe and like.
Yes. But we appreciate any.
If you have a good idea.
Any ideas, any feedback. We actually did a few things that came off of ideas. Grapes of Wrath is one. Your movie, was it Revolution, or what was it called? Renaissance?
Restoration.
Yeah.
It's something in costumes. Hey, I love my costumes.
and then this one here knows everything about that kind of she knows a huge amount about the historical aspects of things. And that's when I was doing the role Demetrius and the Gladiators. There was a whole stuff about Emperor Caligula and Emperor Claudius,
yes.
Which Caligula, you kind of take him for granted because he just rants and raves, and like, okay, there's don't need any footnotes for that. You don't need any actual information. But Claudius is like, why does he exist? How did he get here? Why is he still alive? What's this thing with his wife? And why did they grab him to make him emperor afterwards? Because suddenly, like, now I need to know about the history.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So that kind of stuff is quite handy.
That reveal was interesting because when you said you were going to do that, I had already seen Demetrius and the Gladiators a long time ago, and usually when I've already seen it also, we'll go sit down together, but
we will try to do that
sometime. But I had to re-see it. But I wanted to be sure that it would be something that you would like, because these things can get non-friendly for you at some point. So, and I had seen it.
Gruesome.
I had seen it, and I knew it wasn't going to be grim, grisly, or gruesome.
No, not in 50.
I just knew it was so long ago that I didn't remember what the point was of it. So I sort of you figure out what the point was.
That's why I rewatched it. We had another surprise, and that was the we did a remember that movie kind of. We did a couple of those just from memory. We didn't rewatch it recently.
There's another one coming out. There's this Roman epics of the 50s is going to be coming out at some point.
Cool. So one of the ones that we did that actually had very good success was the. So it was Quo Vadis that we just sat here and we reminisced.
Yeah.
And that actually got a lot of viewing and we got responses and we were surprised. And then I started Googling, not Googling, but whatever, doing searches on YouTube. And it's like, oh, actually this is this kind of sets of movies that aren't actually reviewed much.
Which is a shame.
Yeah. Because they're absolutely stunning productions.
Yeah.
And they made them to be stunning. They only had a few years in which they had and color and widescreen. And they were still making these movies. And I think they tired themselves out, or they tired the audience out very quickly because they had to up themselves every time. And then once they did...
By 1965 it was done.
Yeah, once they did... Cleopatra, you basically cannot top it anymore.
Yeah, after that it dwindled down.
And that's the problem, and I think nowadays they're dealing with that in the superhero genre. Is can you top yourself constantly? And so it's not actually unique. It happens. Cycles of these things happen in the 80s. You had all these action movies, and I keep looking at. I loved things like. Lethal Weapon and there's a lot of them and I love them, but there is a point where you go, what's to be said about it? It's an action movie. It's just an action movie.
I think over the Lethal Weapon genre that you can talk about the genre. I actually want to do a movie review. I'll have to think of the title. It's a Jean-Claude Van Damme film. Made in the time of Die Hard. It's a DieArd.
Oh, Die Hard is so good.
The thing is, I saw this one before I saw the Die Hard. And it has a bunch of the core ideas from Die Hard that they picked up very smartly. And that's why I want to do that review at some point. Go through it properly. Because it's also a film that nobody's going to watch because everybody's watching Die Hard. So...
That's another thing, and that's in all the eras. Can you have multiple eras? But of all the decades through the 20th century, is you have things that become like this is the thing we're making now. You had the big epics, and then you had
musicals.
The musical era, and we talked about Barbra Streisand a fair amount in this channel because. The moment you talk about musicals, it's like, okay, you can talk about all the different musicals that were made, but it kind of like ends with Barbra Streisand and...
Funny Girl.
But also Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews.
Because I think they are the end of what you can do with musicals, because you now have people who can sing properly. Not that the rest couldn't, because there are really, really good singers there. But you have these super exceptional singers, and then basically just let them sing. And once you do that,
it's not a musical
anymore.
No
Longer a musical.
Yeah, you get just a show with one person singing is not a musical. I'm sorry.
One of my absolute favorite movies of all time is Yentl, and that's Streisand, and she's awesome. She's the only one singing in it. And it is a soundtrack rather than that it is a musical. Yeah,
it's a drama with music.
Yeah, and because it's Streisand and because you're never going to tell her not to sing because hello. And the music is very, very good. But I think it also brought it to failure in a critical success. I mean, it went to a smaller audience.
They couldn't place it, yes.
Yeah, and it's already an odd... movie, and I just love it to death, and I sing every song, but
and so does everybody else. But it is the Barbra Streisand show. Yeah.
The story really needed it to be a drama, and so that's once I do a review on that, we're gonna have to dig into that. It's like, okay,
yes,
is this the end of
you'll
musicals?
Have to go see it again properly and
yeah.
figure it out. Oh no, you're gonna have to see it again now.
Oh my god!
Oh,
well, I have the DVD.
You're gonna have to like and subscribe, because it's a hardship on her that she's gonna have to re-see it again. I mean, really, and comment, like and subscribe and comment.
Yes. Comment, tell us if you want us to do that. Tell us if you don't want us to do that. We're probably not going to listen to that. Tell us what you would like us to do. We're definitely going to listen to that.
Yes.
Because we would
and
like to know.
If it's not gruesome in any way, we're probably going to do it.
It's more likely that we're doing it.
And if it is gruesome, then she will pass it to me, and then I will go, maybe next year.
It's always fun looking for things for Halloween.
Yes,
the first
try not to make it too gruesome. It's supposed to be for Halloween. I have a rule for Halloween, very specific.
Yeah.
It cannot just be scary. There has to be an extra thing to it, and could be whatever. It could be the funny hat, but something. Anything, not just scary, because just scary is not going
real
to
scary. Not for us.
Yeah, and if it's real scary, even if it has something extra, it's still not going to work out.
And horror. There's so much horror out there. I would rather watch.
We're not going to be interested in horror.
Science fiction,
storytelling, telling over looks. For me, definitely.
Yeah, I will go with that. And also, I will watch stuff for actors I like, actresses, etc., non-binary.
Yeah, but if they bore me to death, there will be an end to that. Boring the audience is always a bad idea.
One of the things that ended up on the channel completely by accident is because I was watching my usual dose of Dean Stockwell movies.
Yes.
And I mean, this man has made 900 things or something like that. So
we have 2 Dean Stockwell movies on the channel right now. The Happy Years and
the Happy Years. Yes. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the remember this, no preparation, going, oh dear. I'm good with all of those. The only thing that I was. She flung at me was that I would like to actually do more properly is
Farewell to Arms.
A Farewell to Arms, yes. I was going to say an Affair to Remember, which I definitely want to do, but that's not done yet. But A Farewell to Arms with Rock Hudson, because when I watched it, that's very, very long ago, and I didn't understand most of it. And it is literature, and there's a lot to say about it, and also the production.
I like that review in that it gets your honest reaction from somebody who saw it a long time ago, who is not in any way read the book when they were young or anything like that. And in that way, it's an honest reaction of what kind of thing does it impress on the audience, just an unsuspecting audience, and that it's a book that's secondary, and maybe do it, but give it another year before you should. There's a whole stack of stuff. Stack is
our
huge.
list is longer than we can even possibly
on the top at the bottom of the list somewhere.
Yeah. And also, it's never my intention to have read the book to be able to say something about the movie.
No, we're not a book to. In principle, we're not a book to screen reviewer channel. However, if it comes up and we've read the book, or the contents of the book came to us from another avenue, which is going to happen at least at something else, and then it is a legitimate way of how the story came to us in different stages.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah, and the thing about book to screen adaptation, you can always talk about that. And there's only, are we talking about the film, or are we talking about the film and the book? And with Anne of Green Gables, Anne with an E, apparently I was talking about the series and the books and the other versions.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, if we're doing that, we're doing that.
Then we're doing that.
Because I had read them, and that with a lot of stuff is like, no, I want to also be able to sit down with a movie and just go, is this very often for me, is this what's promised to me? Because I look at the title, look at the actors maybe, and maybe one or two lines or the genre, I go.
They took our money, but now I want to know, want to see what we get for it.
Yeah.
Because that's what movie business is they take your money, but then they actually have to. I feel they have to deliver. And sometimes they deliver in ways that they intend, and sometimes they don't deliver, or they don't deliver in the way they intend.
I think actually most of the time it's only they deliver in the ways they intend, and then I can say what does that mean for me?
Yeah.
And that's part of what I talk about, is that this landed with me this way. I would want it another way, or that way really worked for me. Yeah.
So I do the editing on this channel, and that was edited. I cut here.
Oh, remember the special effect we did?
Yes,
we did a special effect.
Yeah, no, it's the least watched episode of the entire channel. You know that. Go watch it. It's called The Lost King. It's a review of a British movie, and it was a lot of fun. And we did a special effect. There you go. Like and subscribe, and go watch the episode.
Like us.
Yeah, it was. Yes. Not everything that I really liked, or really liked, it does well on the channel, and that's frustrating. That's frustrating.
Yeah, that's what we noticed. Is like, okay, we, some of our videos have in the teens of like actual viewing, and we have a few, doing well. We have a runaway, a runaway video about Demetrius and the Gladiators. We don't know why. The only thing that I can think of is that I actually posted it to Twitter. And
but you post some of the other ones as well.
And Victor Mature's daughter is on Twitter. Victoria Mature. If you send people to our channel, thank you very much. But it was just I at her in the tweets, because I was like, oh, come on, this is just too lovely. How often do you get a chance like that? So I mean, I don't think that's it, but it is certainly
because
lovely.
the Robe also did pretty well, and with an E did pretty well. I mean, yes, the Demetrius and Gladiators is the outlier so far.
Yeah. So we don't know why.
And picking a movie and seeing how it does, it is completely from our point of view random.
Yeah,
it's random.
It's random, and it's also not about whether we're positive or negative about it.
The only thing I can say that if it's older, it does pretty well. If it's really new, it doesn't really do that well. And
these new movies, no.
We still going to new movies, and we're going to still review the new movies.
Most of the stuff that's the year 2000 or above is not. I mean, About a Boy, absolutely. I mean,
that also
so little viewership.
Anything from after 1999. But also the new movies that come out in the cinema, and we go.
We go and we sit here and we talk.
And they are very up and down. The Little Mermaid did well, but
that one did well.
Barbie was meh, and Oppenheimer was also meh.
Well, The Little Mermaid, I think we had some stuff to say. Barbie, we had a lot to say.
We had a lot to say. I always say something.
But I think, but Barbie was well received, and The Little Mermaid was not overall, and we liked it. So, but there's an if, and but to that, and we explained that in our review.
It's like go
go watch that, and we won't have it here because we're not over so many subscribers yet, so we won't have a thing here.
No. And by the way, like and subscribe.
So maybe because we were able to give some more context to The Little Mermaid, but that would mean that you have to watch it in order to. So I don't know how, the chicken and egg thing. Yeah. So we're not doing this for the money. Yes, that's for sure. No money being made here.
Yeah, but
and
we would like some views and some likes and subscribes.
That would be lovely. We really, really do like it.
I'm trying to put in here as many as possible, so we don't have to do it in a regular channel.
It is so much fun to... Our videos go online on the Friday. And it's so much fun to actually see it. And we go to bed at some point and then in the morning go... Where is it? And it's like, okay, if it actually went up a lot, then we're like, that is just really enjoyable.
Yes. But it's very upsetting when it doesn't.
Yes. Nobody's making any money here. Then we do have to talk briefly about starting the channel. We thought we could place video. And no,
not
on YouTube.
The reality is that some say about so much time, and that's why the first few videos are not up,
online
because I have to re-edit some of them. Some of them we want to redo.
We can just redo them.
The anyone was pretty good. I want to reuse it, but I have to re-edit it because I used footage because I thought that was somewhat allowed, but not a single second of it. No,
YouTube slams you down really hard.
Yeah,
and so I don't know how these other channels do it. The only thing I can think of is that they either have a deal or they have very good contracts with YouTube. Because a lot of them, and that's one of the criticisms I got one time I was on one of the Discords, and this person wrote back saying, "Oh, but you're not showing anything of the film." Yeah, I don't have any rights to the film. This is journalism here. This is like, reviews. This is not, we're not putting films on here.
Yeah, but there's a lot of these review channels that are playing entire bits of it. And
they can play that. That's great, but we cannot.
We cannot, yeah.
So that's never going to happen. But
on that happy note,
but we make a lot of screenshots.
I do my best to get as many pictures in as possible. Sometimes
films have nothing out there, and okay, we do some obscure stuff for sure, but nothing. So we're just sitting there making screenshots and going, "Well, do you want this for that scene and this for that?"
I need, when you talk about that person, I need at least one picture of that person,
preferably with their face on it. That would be nice.
Not this big.
Oh, The Devil's Disciple, has that one aired yet?
No.
Okay, well that's airing at some point.
Actually, it should be aired. I think it is.
It's gonna air soon. And so I talked about the beautiful costume. Unfortunately, it's black and white. But the beautiful costume that Kirk Douglas is wearing, and I'm like, it's so stunning. But even in the film, he takes off his coat fairly quickly, because that's actually in the plot that he takes off his coat. But please, could you just walk around with it longer before you have to take it off? And I was like, oh, it's so gorgeous. And then she's going, I don't have a picture.
I had no pictures of that show at all.
I'm sitting there screenshotting it and going, oh yeah, he's turning around, he's moving, he's walking from the camera. He's like, oh, that was so hard. And in the end, I think we had 3 screenshots, one from the front and one walking from away from it. But most of the time he was in motion, and it's like, no.
Yeah. So now you know my pain.
This is the pain. Yes, this is the stuff that we go through.
The rules of the pictures are if you do the review and I know the film, I can take care of the pictures, get the pictures and
then I come up with
because
stuff you've not seen.
If I have seen it, then I know, okay, that name goes with that face, and then I can. Yeah. But if I don't, then all back to you. Yeah. And if then I have nothing, then
things get complicated.
Then it gets complicated. and now you know my pain. Because I have that on everything. And I sometimes want to throttle you. Because then doing a review about Demetrius and the Gladiators or something like that.
Or something like that.
And then she mentioned Quo Vadis and Love Story and like 4 other movies. And I have to go, okay, go get them again. And Love Story I actually have on standby because she always mentioned Love Story. Yes. Here, I'll put a Love Story.
Love Story. I mean, how can you not? It's iconic. It's epic. There's so much, and I love, and I've said this before, I love that it breaks all the rules of storytelling, and it works. This is.
You need to do a review on Love Story.
I do need to do a review on Love Story, but then I also
if you like and subscribe, she will do a review through on Love Story.
Probably, yeah. I know.
Should probably do it anyway.
There will be a review on Love Story at some point. The list is long. It's not, it's not immediate.
Yeah.
So,
on that note,
like and subscribe.
Happy New Year.
And thank you for watching all these episodes, because I'm sure you watched every single one of them.
Of course
including
The Lost King.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Go watch that. It's actually not boring.
It isn't.
We have something to say.
Yes. And we'll be here next year.
Yes.
Every Friday. We'll go up. Hopefully every Friday. That's the idea, is every Friday we'll try our level best.
Yes.
If we've missed a Friday, it's not because we didn't try, it's because it didn't happen anyway, because we didn't.
No. Basically every Friday. Yes, there's a video. And we will review stuff.
Because that's my opinion.
And my opinion. And we're sticking to it.